Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast. This is episode 292. We're recording on February 28th. You're watching it on March 1st or later. I'm Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, your host for today. And we've got some maybe speculation on some things Fortnite might or may not be doing. We'll see. More speculation on what does ArenaNet's changes mean for Guild Wars 2. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some private servers and get our take on it because we haven't really talked about it on this show. With the exception of, I think, one game. We went into depth, I think, on Rift Prime servers a little bit. So, but joining me to talk it over, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
Doing okay, and unlike some people on this cast, I do not have a sheep in my bathroom.
I do not have a sheep in my bathroom either. Apparently, my keyboard needs to be cleaned out. A, S, and D are duplicating in like everything I type, and it's annoying as hell. Also, Q, how are you, Q?
See, that's exactly why I bought a keyboard that doesn't have stuff where food and other items can get trapped.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't eat at my computer desk, so I don't know.
I don't want to know what else you do at your computer desk then, Mike.
I drink iced tea, play video games, and watch copious amounts of porn, if that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Do your cats shed on your keyboard? Because
No,
I
only have one cat, and she lives in the basement. She won't go upstairs because of the dogs. But she kind of stays away from here, too. Like, there's no miscellaneous cat hair or anything. Whatever.
My roommate, his cat barfed on his computer, like right over top, and it went on the
I
motherboard, and he had to get it.
Ugh.
I knew a guy who his cats pissed everywhere because they were males and they were not fixed, and he picked up his keyboard one day and it was just.
Oh, yes. What a note to start the show on. Let's get started with the news. Ooh. Blah. Blah. All right, so let's get started with. So, you know, if Jason, if I gave you a lot of money, and then I said, "Hey, Jason, give me half of that back," I still gave you a lot of money, just not as much of a lot as I gave you, and by a lot, we're talking in the 800 millions range. That's a lot of money. So to make 400 million, I think most unless you're EA, you'd probably be pretty happy with making 400 million on something, particularly in a month. But that could also be the signal flare, if you will, for something not going quite your way lately.
Well, clearly I got to get you out of my life because you just took half my money.
Hey, man, I just gave you $400 million.
So you gave me 800 million, and you took half of it.
Yes,
Damn thief.
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Also, when do I get that? Is that in the my check in the mail?
Of course, of course. I had the staff send it. So,
okay.
We're talking here about Fortnite, who didn't have a stellar January by their own measurements, revenue-wise, but certainly had a stellar January as far as just about anybody else on the gaming planet's estimation. So what happened? It's almost a 50% loss in January.
Well, and by their admission, we mean by what Super Data has drummed up. So, take that for what it will.
Grains of salt,
They're usually not, maybe it's not half, maybe it's only like 40% or something. So usually if they, say something like that, they're at least in the realm of, being realistic. But yeah, even losing 40% or even 30, 35% when you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, that's pretty bad. That's what they're reporting, that according to Super Data, revenue across all platforms for Fortnite dropped 48% in January as compared to December. Now, Super Data says that they had a peak month in December, which happens for a lot of things in general, having a great December because of all the holiday season purchases and whatnot. I think it's a little overstated for like a free-to-play video game, but still people, all those gift cards they're probably getting wherever, so maybe those still did cash in or whatever. But yeah, that's what they say. The revenue of Fortnite dropped 48% month over month in January.
Q, I think it's kind of hard for anybody to look at this and go, maybe Apex Legends had a much bigger impact than any of us thought it was going to, right? I mean, it is Ninja launch month was January into February. It is the big new sexy. Whether it stays that way will be an entirely different discussion, of course. But is this that gut a bunch of people jump to a new game and are checking it out and maybe will filter back to Fortnite? Or is this, you know, the precursor to some coming down to earth for Fortnite over an extended period of time?
I mean, I think it's probably a combination of things. One, definitely being Apex Legends, because I think we discussed this last week where, they did all those tournaments and stuff to just kind of draw all the big Fortnite people and other big streamers, you know, Hearthstone streamers and stuff too, in, and basically had them playing nothing but Apex Legends for 2 weeks, I think it was. And then some of those people, I think even like Ninja is like, oh, well, I'm just going to hang out in this for a while. So I'm sure that affected it, you know, to a certain amount. But there's other factors, like you're talking about December versus January, and not necessarily just the Christmas stuff and everything like that. But you have to remember there's a lot of downtime for people in a certain age range in December rolling into early January, and then and then it cuts off and everybody's back in school or whatever it is they're doing, so they're not investing as much time or money into some of the things that they would invest in otherwise. So it could be a combination of that kind of stuff.
Here's what kind of scares me the most, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
While it is fair to say we knew about Apex Legends on like the last day or two of January, we did not know at that time that we were going to be able to play it as early as we did. It technically got unveiled and played on February 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So while, yeah, maybe we knew about Apex Legends in January as far as it being a thing, there was no real audience conversion in January. That's going to be on February's stats.
I guess I've been worried for a little bit. I wasn't sure if you'd actually read the article. So,
yeah, no. So
you know what? I lose track of time.
Well, no, it's very easy to do that. My initial thing when I saw the numbers way back when was a few days ago was, Apex Legends hit it harder. And then I had to stop myself for a minute because you go, yeah, I guess that was last month. Yeah, I mean, we heard about it on the 31st, and then it launched on the 4th. So February's numbers, that's going to be a real key indicator, I think, Jason, if we can get some super data or some Epic Games numbers from February on exactly what Apex Legends had, which kind of makes you go, then what really was the huge impact in January? Granted, it's not Christmas. Granted, at the very end of the month, we kind of got news about a new big sexy coming, but we couldn't play it yet. So where'd that money go?
I mean, you could speculate on this, that, or the other thing. Maybe it's just the age cycle. Maybe it's finally, maybe 48% is not necessarily the number you'd think is, it's not like, oh man, suddenly half the people just quit it. Maybe it just is, hey, people are just getting a little tired of it. 16 months. It's been peaking, they said it had a peak December. It's really had like a peak 2018.
Right.
Like all throughout the year. You couldn't not see it everywhere. There were shops in the mall that just had this big Fortnite, display or whatever. And it's like just everywhere. And maybe that trend is finally going away. There was, when I was working at Press Pass, when we were doing the Full Metal Alchemist trading card game, something they said was, when you have a big thing at the time, and Full Metal Alchemist was kind of big and new and like all over the place, at least in terms of the anime circles, I was told you have like 18 months to capitalize on that while it's still a big deal. Now, we're about that far into Fortnite Battle Royale. Still, it's still going to be a deal. It's not going to go away, but maybe that same kind of cycle is still out there and still kicking. Maybe everything else is going to kind of wear away at it, and Apex Legends even more so.
February, I think, has got to be scary for Epic Games at this point, Q. Not only did you have Apex Legends, which my guess is going to take a gouge out of Fortnite, the biggest gouge out of Fortnite that I think we've seen any Battle Royale take so far, where previous to this it was maybe arguably Ring of Elysium took a little chunk, but it was nowhere near the bite I think Apex Legends is about to put on Fortnite numbers-wise. But then you have to also consider this, Q. One of the big revenue streams for Fortnite across the board is the battle passes. And season 8 starts what, today? I think today, tomorrow, a couple days ago.
Yeah, today.
Something like that. It's right around now. And they just ran that promo event where you could get the battle pass for free. So some of that quarterly income that they're, you know, banking on making every quarter with the new seasons, yeah, people are still going to buy it, but I'll give you an example. My 11-year-old daughter, she got hers for free. So, I mean, she plays it well. I'm not taking anything away from her skill. She's far better at it than I am. But that's my 11-year-old daughter, and she was able to do enough in the game to get it for free. So it wasn't exactly a huge top-tier competitive challenge to go get this for free. She did it on her account, on her mother's account, and on her brother's account. So 3 free season passes that... yeah, we wouldn't have bought 3. We would have maybe bought 1 if they had done some chores around the house type deal. But, ouch, February could be looking pretty bad for Fortnite revenue-wise with all these little chunks of revenue splashes and bites combined.
Yeah, quick question on that, because I cannot remember the free season pass thing. Did you have to have already purchased the last season pass in order to participate in that stuff, or was it just you could participate in any of it to get the free?
Yeah, you could just participate. You had to do 13 of the overtime challenges. So my daughter on her account owns season 7, and then on her brother's account and on my wife's account, they did not, and all 3 were able to unlock season 8 for free.
But see, it's kind of in one way, because you, like you said, so you have people that maybe aren't investing in these season passes and not getting the additional stuff. So it's that whole thing of now you have a whole bunch of people with free season passes this month. And then the next month they roll into it. And it's like, well, I want the stuff that I got with my season pass, you know, last time. So I guess I'll just go ahead and buy it, you know, kind of making them feel like it's worth spending the money on this thing. But I mean, that's the thing too, is the lack of money. Does it, like the revenue dropping 48% doesn't necessarily mean the player base has dropped 48%. It just may mean that the people who've bought stuff have everything they want and they need more stuff.
Yep. And when they did the whole free season pass thing, I thought it was a brilliant marketing move. I really did. I was like, you know what? That's cool. If you've bought it before, great. You're going to get a freebie one. If you've never bought it before and you can get a freebie one, maybe it entices you to buy another one. Jason, I think the argument is just, damn, wrong time for that promo. Not that it's a bad promo or anything. I think it's a great promo. Just, ouch. Kind of a bad month for that to have happened.
One other factor that just occurred to me is the Epic Game Store launched in December. So you wonder if maybe there was some additional input there with all the press and whatever and everything else they got. Maybe they got more people playing Fortnite then, and that contributed to it being a little down in January, maybe.
I don't know. It's certainly something to watch because I think it's a scary number at a time before the real scary competition, if you want to call it that, was even available. So I'm really, really going to be interested in February's totals, and hopefully Super Data will keep track on that. But before we leave the topic of Fortnite and in some regards Apex Legends, we should note that if you were a fan of Apex Legends ping system, which I was, and said should be in that game right there, Anthem,
isn't there a lot that should be in Anthem?
Yeah, we don't need to get into that. We don't need to get into that. It's coming to Fortnite because that was fast. It really took... It was added today as part of the Season 8 update.
So
it's hard,
like 3 weeks?
Yeah,
maybe?
It's hard not to look at that and go, wow, what a knee-jerk reaction to it. Blizzard's been doing that type of thing for years, right? What works in an MMO, and let's take it and put it in World of Warcraft, and we give Blizzard shit all the time as, you know, a little bit of ribbing when they steal something from Guild Wars 2 and things like that. But 3 weeks, I can't decide, Jason, if this was just really quickly turned around, or if and it was something they had planned anyway, or if it's such a knee-jerk reaction that they gunned this thing out in 3 weeks. Like, they were like, hey, we need that. Start coding, bitch. Bam, 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 bam. It's not, to me, a horribly complex system to add, So I could see it only taking a group of talented developers who have $800 million a month banging this out in 3 weeks. But if that's the case, it seems pretty knee-jerk, doesn't it?
I think, wasn't Fortnite Battle Royale knee-jerk in itself? Didn't they say when it first came out, it was like, yeah, we started working on this like 2 months ago. We saw Battle Royales were big, so we just did this as a side thing. So yeah, I mean, this would just be par for the course for them. And aren't they? Isn't there a new thing? Aren't there like van spawning? People think there's going to be a respawn mechanic as well added soon. Isn't that another like rumor that's floating around? So
I would not be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, if it works in other games, why not put it in ours?
Q, this should silence your Twitter feed a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. Although most of it had to do with anthems.
Yeah, well, and then a lot of us have moved on to other things that should be an Anthem, as Jason pointed out. The ping system kind of took a back step for that. So I'm not at endgame yet. I haven't been playing it all encompassing like that to be at the end game yet. Just an hour or two here and there type deal. But I can already feel certain things lacking, and I'm not even at the most lacking portion, which is the end game. So maybe we'll get a ping system, but let's do content first. Moving on, the ArenaNet team is a bit smaller now, and this news started to break pretty much hours after we recorded the free-to-play cast last week, as it always happens. It started with Jason Schreier over at Kotaku breaking rumor that ArenaNet was going to be suffering a round of layoffs. Jason, normally pretty good about these types of things, right? Jason's normally pretty responsible when it comes to this type of reporting. And
unlike
really,
the other Jason who's totally irresponsible.
right, and unlike Jason Winter, who just throws whatever he wants on the internet. And so we went ahead and reported it, credited Jason, of course. And over the course of that weekend and into early this week, the layoffs did start, Jason. Do we have any idea impact here as far as numbers? I've seen some estimates, around 100. But do we have anything more official than that?
I've seen 143. That's the number I've seen.
That's pretty fucking exact.
Out of, yes, that is exactly the number I've seen. Out of about 400 is what they thought they had before the layoff. So you're looking at over a third of the company.
Yeah, anywhere from like 25 to 35% would be that number. So it's real easy to look at that and go, uh-oh, Guild Wars 2 is in trouble. I can't say, though, I'm all that surprised, given last week when we went over some financials, though, Q. And NCSoft having a bit of a lackluster Q4. How much of that was Guild Wars 2? How much of that was other games? I mean, it's all dispersed over the network. But I can't say I'm all that surprised. Were you?
No, I mean, kind of sad and, that kind of stuff, because I hate to see it happen. But I'm actually kind of surprised that it's only Guild Wars 2. That's where I'm a little more surprised, I think, is that they're the only one. Because, I mean, like you said, it's other games, too. Guild Wars 2 is not solely responsible for NCSoft's bad financials. I think we had Ion was on the chart, and it was, not... Although I don't know how many people are left there, so...
Right. I mean, you're talking about some games that probably already... They don't have to do layoffs now because they did them 8 years ago when the game started having problems. Now, here's the thing that was a little weird to me, Jason. Initially, NCSoft Friday made a statement that said, "We can confirm that due to the cancellation of unannounced projects, ArenaNet will make staff reductions. This is part of a larger organizational restructuring within NCSoft in the West, but the Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 game services will not be affected, nor is any upcoming content canceled." And, all right, some of that is just the typical PR speak that we're used to hearing, that, hey, we're laying people off, don't worry, your favorite game, insert X here, will not be impacted, don't worry about it. But the first sentence I found odd. Cancellation of unannounced projects. Normally, we have at least an idea that a certain group is working on something. We may not know what the something is. I was kind of surprised to see that ArenaNet was working on unannounced projects, and by the way the rest of this statement is worded, they are unrelated to Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. Wouldn't have been surprised if it was the unannounced project was an expansion or a Guild Wars 3 or a... But what were they working on, man?
I mean, so from what I've been seeing when I look at it on Reddit and people on Twitter who know more than I do, yeah, there were some other things in the works, apparently. It had been for a while. I mean, on and off, they've been working on stuff almost since Guild Wars 2 launched, it looks like. Mobile stuff, some of it. Again, nothing really specific, like not on the level of what we knew about, say, something like Titan or something like that for Blizzard. But they had been working on some things, apparently. What I also am seeing from some people is that what it was that they moved some Guild Wars 2 development people to those things, and now a lot of those people are gone. So yeah, while it's technically true that nobody currently working on Guild Wars or nobody working on Guild Wars 2 as of last week was let go, maybe those people had already been.
They were
those people
originally
already left Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is correct probably in that it's not going to greatly affect what's going to happen in the future, except what we'll talk to in a bit. But it's sort of like that already happened. If you were okay with how they were doing stuff over the last year or so, it's going to stay pretty much like that for the next year. Now, if you want to go back to how they were running things 3 or 4 years ago, that ship's already sailed, or boat sailed, or train has left the station, whatever metaphor you want to use. So
yeah. So the first announcement was from NCSoft and was pretty PR, standard, with the exception of, hey, I wonder what they were working on. But then earlier this week, at the beginning of the week, and I'm going to mispronounce this, I always do, Mike Zadorojny,
Mike Z, that's what everyone calls him.
Mike Z, game director over at Guild Wars 2, did post something to the forum about the layoffs and the update, giving an update to the team. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can find it on mmobomb.com. But in part, the Guild Wars 2 team is still committed to bringing content and feature updates to the game. The next episode of The Living World are already in development. Swiss tournament support is coming to PvP. We're looking at more WVW events coming soon, and the return of the Super Adventure Festival is imminent. Our long-term plans for the game, like world restructuring and large-scale improvements to quality of life, are still in the works. So while that's good and PR speak, okay, fine, that's great. Everybody calm down. It's not going to be a mess. That said, he did go on to continue that there were probably going to be some issues, starting with the delay of that badass mount that we were talking about on last week's show. And then also saying that some updates may see delays in the future as well. So, Jason, you kind of respected this approach. It was a bit more honest than the PR speak we typically see and did see from NCSoft initially.
Yeah, I mean, usually, like you said, they always say everything's fine, nothing's going to change, whatever. He at least says, yeah, some things are going to change a little bit. He doesn't go on to say, obviously, he's not going to say, stuff's going to get canceled or whatever. Granted, we don't know what kind of internal thoughts they had about, where they're going to have 6 chapters in the next living story. Now they're only going to have 4 or whatever. Who knows what that's going to be like. But yeah, the fact that he did say, things are going to be a little tougher and we're going to be later on stuff. It's going to take a longer time. I liked that he at least admitted to some sort of, weakness or vulnerability or whatever in that. So again, it's just good that they didn't go on with business as usual. Everything's going to be fine. Look over here now. Ooh, shiny Battle Cat.
Q, is Guild Wars 2 in trouble?
This relates to that answer, but I noticed in the post where you guys were talking about the unannounced project, he actually mentions that in his statement too. Mike Z does. And I don't know now because, he says friends and colleagues are no longer with the company, but that some that were working on those unannounced projects were basically brought back into the fold. So, and in their restructuring, so does that mean that they're actually maybe a little bit more level? Like they just didn't lose as many people from the actual Guild Wars 2 team, or they might have bolstered it a little bit, pulling those people, if most of the people that were let go were unannounced project people to begin with. So they might be just fine. It might just be that in this case, since they were kind of hit with this and they're having to pull everybody back in and do all this stuff, they're just having to kind of get the work schedule and everything balance back out.
Yeah, so your point then being that the delays in some future things it'll be due toward more to a restructuring or redistribution of responsibilities, not because of a lack of manpower or a reduction in manpower.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, they could have gotten rid of some Guild Wars
manpower, woman power, people power.
Human power.
Human power. Thank you, Q. Thank you.
They could have gotten rid of some Guild Wars 2 staff. They could have gotten rid of some of these unannounced people, but they've pulled in people that were left in the unannounced project area, and they got to figure out what to do with them since they weren't there while they were working on the unannounced projects. So they probably have to just spend some time on that kind of stuff as well to make sure they got everything laid out so that they don't screw themselves down the line.
Nervous at all, Jason?
Not right away. Like, I don't think I don't think the game's going to vanish, the end of 2019 or something. Could this be long-term a sign that things aren't going well in the future? Are we looking like maybe 2 or 3 more years before it goes into maintenance mode or worse or something like that? That would not utterly shock me. At the very least, yeah, they are going to have to figure out what their next project is, whether that is an unannounced project of some kind or Guild Wars 3 or something totally unrelated. That is something that they've kind of known they've needed for a few years now. Now they've abandoned this one. Now what do they do?
Yeah, and
what do they do down the
that's
line?
kind of where my question mark is. Like, I'm not surprised that ArenaNet was working on unannounced things. I'm just surprised that we hadn't gotten wind of them in some fashion. Normally those types of secrets are hard to keep. But what does concern me is, are there any other unannounced projects that are still going on? Because I never like to see a studio, particularly a studio where I know people that work there. We talked about this when it came to Activision Blizzard and people that all 3 of us know there. We know people at NCSoft personally from other jobs too, not just through contacts type deal. And it kind of, I never want to see a studio like that put all of its eggs back into one basket. Are there still unannounced projects being worked on? Because if there aren't, and everything is now reliant on Guild Wars 2, I don't like that position. I really don't like that position for ArenaNet. It's not like Guild Wars 2 is still the new sexy where you can afford to do that for a couple of years. You're out of that grace period of being able to do that. You have to have unannounced projects to keep going. So.
What I think it's possible they're working on something biggish, like maybe even a new MMO, like maybe they had grand ambitious plans, and now if they do something that's going to be scaled down a bit, it's going to be more like whether it's a
battle royale,
yet another one,
brawler, card game, something like that, something more like what we've seen over the last few years. Because Guild Wars 2 was pretty ambitious, even coming. We could look back now and say that was kind of late in the whole new MMO cycle. Like that's the sort of thing we just don't see nowadays. And only lasted for maybe a couple of years after that. Maybe they were trying to rekindle that. Maybe they were trying to go for what Daybreak was trying to do with EverQuest Next, something along those lines. Now, if they have anything new coming out, I think it's going to be a much smaller project.
I think so too. I think you're absolutely right. So another one we'll have to keep our eyes on over the coming months. I think we'll get more information about Fortnite's situation soon. I think this one's going to Jason, to your point, this one's going to draw out much longer. It'll be something we'll have to keep our eyes on for a while before we really see any indication one way or the other.
Magic 8 Ball says too early to tell.
Yes. Finishing up here, I know I threw these in here because these are games we don't talk about an awful lot, and I know, Jason, you were a longtime fan of Lord of the Rings Online for a while. I've played both of these. Q, I think you've dabbled in DDO, right? Do we have that conversation?
No, I've dabbled. I played Lotro really heavily when it came out. No, I played that a lot when it came out, actually.
So a couple pieces of news on these guys, and so I thought, why not throw them in? We're finally going to see another expansion for DDO. This will be its 4th expansion, which that's kind of weird when you think about it, right? Most of these games that are this old have like 20 now.
Well, they only started doing full expansions as opposed to updates. They only did that like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So DDO getting an expansion. You can get some information a little bit on our site.
Title?
Yeah, you get the title. Yeah, you get that on our website. The Masterminds of Sharn, the 4th expansion, and really, the trailer is just the the title flying in.
Oh my god, I never looked at that. Yeah, it's 7 seconds.
It's just the image at the top of the piece.
Yep.
I just put it in there in case anybody really wanted to see it.
Yep.
Really, it's 5 seconds of the image and then 2 seconds of please buy in March.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on more information, but it's coming. Upgrade bonuses, the new Scoundrel hero. So if you're looking for some DDO additions, you'll be getting it. And if you pre-order, you'll get instant access to the Tiefling race. So cool there. Lord of the Rings getting its first expansion ever, Jason. First
Again.
expansion ever. This one's a little more specific to their version of the private or progression servers, though, right?
Yeah, so they launched the progression server, I think, back in November, December, something like that, which only had the base content, and now they're going to add the first expansion, which released in 2008. November 18th, 2008, actually, I believe I remember that precisely, because, damn, I was all over that date when it was coming out back then.
Mines of Moria puts what? The level at 60. Level cap at 60.
Yeah, level cap goes up to 60. You'll get into Moria, legendary weapons, all that stuff. It got me thinking, though. It's like I did this back in the day, like about 8 or 9 years ago, like when we were getting kind of tired of the old content. We just made new characters, and me and some friends, we rolled them up, and then we did stuff together, and eventually we got through Moria. It's like, you could still do this. Why do you need a new server for it? Just stop trying to rush yourself to max level. Just slow it down.
And just like others, their progression server, their legendary server, does require a subscription. You either have the VIP membership or you have the lifetime VIP. If you have one of those two, you can get in there. And hey, just because I wanted to talk about those types of servers for a minute, I also threw in the news here that Funcom is going to be doing a paid progression server for Anarchy Online. There you go. Something
that's even older than both those other games.
Right. I didn't even know I wanted. I'm still not sure I do. So, yeah. I mean, you could go relive the origins of Anarchy Online.
It's really funny about that if you don't read the title of that piece and you just read the first paragraph, particularly the last sentence where you're saying it's interesting news regarding a game that used to be pay to play, then went free to play, and now will be to a degree pay to play again, you might almost think it's Secret World.
Yeah. Right. Which
are they going to have a progression server too?
Which, by the way, got almost no love in Funcom's financial report.
Because they haven't done anything with it.
The only thing they talked about was the stuff they did last year. Oh, we did these festivals.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and yeah, the last thing they did was they created some items that fans could win by creating Valentine's Day cards for characters in the game.
Yeah, Age of Conan only got, mentioned as well, so it wasn't just Secret World Legends. They did pick up the Dune license, which I think could be interesting. They're looking at producing at least 3 Dune games over the next 6 years for both PC and console. Could be interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on it. So now it's Funcom's all in on Conan and Dune.
I will play the Dune game. I will play the Dune game if they can get like Patrick Stewart and Sting to do voiceovers. That would. Well,
then they bring Kyle back because I mean, come on, Kyle MacLachlan.
You just made Q's day.
It was so weird when the sci-fi version of Dune came out. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! So you know how the original Dune was dark and gritty, and granted, like almost every movie ever based on a book left stuff out or whatever, right?
Yeah, you have to.
When Sci-Fi Channel came back, they decided to make it like the women are wearing like butterflies everywhere, and it's like bright and cheery, and you're like, I don't understand what's going on here. I don't know what's going on
here anymore.
I'm so confused.
So I wanted to ask your guys' take on this. I mean, we were generally pretty positive when Rift Prime launched. As far as, hey, that's cool. But in thinking about this, we now have what? Rift Prime has it. EverQuest and EverQuest 2 have their progression servers. Lord of the Rings Online, Anarchy Online is now going to get one. I mean, there are a ton of games that have a Lineage does the classic servers over in Europe. And they all
Warcraft soon,
right?
Except you get that one free.
Yeah, that one's. But you already have a sub, so what are they going to do? Charge you a second sub? But all of these, I guess they could, if it'll keep them from laying off people. I don't know how I feel about this, because they all are designed to punch you in the gut with the nostalgia and milk you for a subscription at the same time. I played on Prime for a month, and only because they gave it to me free to check out for a month. There wasn't a single, while I can only imagine myself going into any of these if I had, and it wouldn't be enough for like Q, Jason, and I to want to go check out Lord of the Rings Online, starting from the beginning and doing our, if I had like 15 of us, and we want to do our own guild and stuff and go, all right, maybe. But I just can't get excited or interested in that content besides maybe pay for a month to nostalgia check it out. Do you guys feel the same? Or Jason, are you all for these?
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I'm just mystified by their continued success. I mean, I get that if you feel like, oh, all the MMOs today suck, only the old ones were good. Okay, fine, but I don't know. There's like 50,000 games on Steam right now. Find something else to play. Something that you haven't done already, maybe. I don't know. Just get out of your comfort zone a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, because I don't think they appeal to new players, Q.
No.
They're not there for that. New players looking for a new game, even if they're going to consider an old game, something like EQ2, they're going to want to jump in now with some of the system and quality of life changes that have been introduced in the game over the years, and they'll just play through the content. They don't care if expansion 13 isn't unlocked yet or is unlocked. They're just going to play, and they'll get there when they get there. So these are catered exactly at us, the people that played these games and maybe got away from them, maybe still play them now. I am stunned by how apparently successful these types of servers can be.
I don't think they're actually marketed exactly at us, like the three, because you have to consider you have your people, like I've always defined, there's your general gamers or your general MMO players, which are us. We happily hop from game to game, checking things out, doing stuff. We get bored in one, we go to another. We're playing like 2, 3, maybe 4 different games at a time, depending on what's going on in the games. But there are some people that they're not really like gamers in the sense that they just want to play every video game. They got brought in on one video game. That's what they love. That's what they want to be doing. So, they get
start over.
I mean, for some people, it's maybe they came in later in the game or whatever, but I think it's marketed to those people that as far as their gaming life goes, it is that game.
Yeah,
it gives them that space. The rest of us, it would be just like me hopping into almost any random game. I have a couple of games that I try to play, that I play seriously for a while. It was Secret World Legends, and lately I've just been bouncing between things because I haven't found anything I'm particularly happy with. But for some people, where they're at is where they're happy, and if they can relive that experience, why not? Although I think it would be really hilarious if they gave them the full experience and all the games went free to play right around the same time they went free to play the first time.
I always view these, Jason, as something that they sound like a very cool idea. They really do. If you played this and you enjoyed it and you remember those days and it's different now and you want to go back and experience it, here's a server where you can do that. Or if you never played and you've heard how great this game was back in the day and you want to go check it out, that we have a server where you could do that. That's great. They always sound like a good idea to me. But then if I jump into one and play it, I'm like, this is miserable. I can't sort my inventory anymore, because some of the system changes aren't there yet. Or if they maintain those and it's just content, just can't stick with them. And literally, I just imagine that I would have to have a group of like 10 or 15 people because that is the huge part of what made those nostalgic memories. Was I was with a different time period in my life, with a different crew of people that were at the same period in their life, that they had expendable cash and expendable time and could sit down and play, you know. Now, if I sit down on a weekend and play for 4 hours, I feel great. I got 4 hours to play. If I had 4 hours back then, it was, Jason, I don't got enough time to do anything. Yeah, exactly. Because I only have 4 hours to play. Counterpoint, though, these cost almost nothing for the companies to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so any money they make is going to be good extra money, right?
You would think, yeah. I mean, so certainly more so than making a new expansion. If you can draw people back into maybe a lapse from before, they're not interested in the new game, you can do this for virtually nothing. Sure, why not? But I agree with you. It's like what I tweeted, where I said if these games could also come with a memory wipe device that can remove my knowledge of the game as I'm going through it. Because to me, that's the big issue. It's not just having people there. It's like I've looked at old screenshots in like Lord of the Rings Online when I've looked at screenshots for like the first week that I played. And I'll go back to those areas. I'll be like, yeah, I remember this area and when it was new, when I first encountered this NPC or whatever. If I go back now, even on a progression server, I know what that NPC is going to say. I know what's behind this door. I know what's over the next hill. The fact that's what made the games cool to me. The fact that I could explore them and find all these new experiences. They're not going to be new experiences anymore. I'm just not that interested in doing that again because I've made doing it for the 13th time or whatever. That's the part that doesn't appeal to me very much. I can do that just as well on a regular non-progression server. So.
Yeah, I have no problem with the servers. I look at and I think
if you like them, yeah.
I'm like. That's such a good idea. But every time, Q, that a game says, hey, we're going to do this, and it's a game I've played, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would jump into that for a little while. And then immediately, to Jason's point, I remember something that I had to do or accomplish, and I'm just like, no, oh, God, no, I don't want to go do that again. Yeah, oh, I don't want to do that quest chain again. I don't want to farm for that bag expansion again. No, oh, God.
It's like when
WoW did the same thing. I was like, oh, I remember the classic servers having to be 40 to get my mount on my warlock and having to do the quest and save up the gold, and then they announced the classic servers, and I was like, oh, there's no fucking way I'm doing that again.
Well, it was like with Funcom, right? When they made the switch on Secret World to Secret World Legends,
yes,
and everybody was like, you're punishing us.
Yep.
Like, we're going to do this because you've literally given us no other choice if we want to continue to play the Secret World at all, but you're punishing us.
Yep. You and I felt the same. You gave it more of a chance than I did. I couldn't bear to be doing all that farming in Blue Mountain and stuff again to knock the quests out. I couldn't.
I got a brilliant idea. A progression website. Let's just do news from 6 years ago.
Well, we're still implementing an upgrade on MMOBomb.com, so let's put up MMOBomb version 1.0 now.
MMOBomb Classic.
Yeah, MMOBombClassic.com, and we'll charge you $5 a month to get in and read stories from 9 years ago.
You guys want a preview of Rift?
Let's slide over and get done with the weekly bombs. Q, you're up.
I'm actually going to give a bomb to Epic for going ahead and adding that ping system. I mean, it was really fast. I have no idea how much work went into it for them, but they did actually give people stuff they were asking for because everybody was complaining about that not being in literally every other game. So they gave them something that they wanted.
It is the feature of 2019 for me so far, Jason. It was the feature I never knew I wanted until I had it, and I was like, God, I could use this in everything.
It's like the opposite. It's like the opposite of WoW Classic. You don't think you want it, but you do.
Right. Go ahead, Jason.
You kind of spoiled this earlier, but I'm going to give it a bomb to our site redesign. It's looking really shiny. We've still got a lot of stuff we still need to work on. Still getting a few things in there, but I like the new stuff that's going on. So,
and for you Chrome users, it's not behaving nicely with Chrome, so you may have to refresh on that one. Every time I've gone in today, yeah, we're still working on it. It's still, there's a few more upgrades that take place. Every time I go into it, I see the articles from yesterday, and then I have to click refresh, and then oh, there's 7 articles we typed today.
I think it likes Firefox best.
So,
based on what we were discussing earlier.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to the repopulation. I know Jason's going to laugh at this, but, you know, they released their roadmap for the year, and, you know, I don't know how many people play the repopulation on any given day. I'm sure you are.
5.
Yeah, but... You know, releasing the roadmap that made me go, I'm rooting for them. They're just a plucky little team that just keeps developing. They just keep developing. Even when they get their engine snaked away from them, they just keep going. Good on you. Dub bomb to the repopulation.
8 minutes ago.
From the viewers, Hydrix Sky Shadow says, A-bomb to all the layoffs. First Blizzard and now ArenaNet. I feel so bad for all the people that lost their jobs, as do we. Hope all those people find another job doing what they love. And while I'm at it, with the layoffs from ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 not being a colossal success, is there any chance for Guild Wars 3 to ever be released? What's your opinion? And Hydrix, you beat me to the punch. That will be our question of the week when we get there. It was something I mentioned on last week's show, and I want to put it in there and pose it to you. We'll give our answers next week. Go ahead, Jason.
Yamikami says, what? Q's internet is working? What is this sorcery? Sacrilege.
It almost wasn't again.
Right.
It almost wasn't.
Oh, and an A-bomb for Activision Blizzard. I plan to renew my WoW sub to buy StarCraft Remastered, also looking for Warcraft 3 Remastered, but now I feel like giving my money to someone else. Someone who respects their own workforce, maybe, so probably clearly not Guild Wars 2. But hey, at least you got your CFO, a new $50 million bonus.
Yeah, Bobby's taking a beating on this one as well. He should.
At least he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Yeah, he's crying himself to sleep on a sack
if
of
anyone
$100
thought
bills.
that Bobby Kotick was gamers' friends, then they obviously forgot about everything he said 10 years ago regarding running IPs into the ground, how game development is not supposed to be fun, that it's just to make money, everything else. Bobby Kotick does not care about games for games.
Go ahead, Q. Take the next one.
Lunar Templar, A-bomb to Mike for being anti-microwave hot dogs. I swear you think you know some people only to find out they're ultra crazy people.
So I'm an ultra crazy person for... Okay, so will this redeem me at all? I'm okay. This is dumb. I'm okay with microwaved corn dogs.
No, those got to be like deep fried, man. You got to get.
Oh no, absolutely. But if you know those frozen ones in a pinch,
no,
totally,
you gotta be
totally
fresh.
okay with that.
I don't do frozen corn dogs. No.
Such an ass. Mr. Dispro says, I give a dub bomb to Grando Esparta, Sword of the New World, I think, for its soundtrack, still playing on my playlist on a regular basis, even after years and years of not playing it. Also for not needing friends to have a full functional party. That is a good soundtrack. I still listen to music from Final Fantasy XI all the time in my car. It's all the time. So I'm with you. Go ahead, Jason.
Miko-chan says, the bomb to Q being sick. Or being
back.
Sick.
That last episode was so sad with the internet issues. It was hilarious seeing the old school communication method, though. A-bomb to NCSoft, getting some City of Heroes flashbacks around Guild Wars 2 right now.
Yeah, that's kind of hard not to see, too, but I don't see it going down quite that way if it goes down at all. Go ahead, Q.
High Tech, Daybreak is still consistently making all the wrong decisions. No matter how much they try to make PlanetSide Arena stand out, a turd is still a turd. It will never be a success.
Yeah,
but I wonder if they're coding in a ping system right now.
They just can't catch a Daybreak. The question of the week last week, yes. What aspect of MMOs would you like to see Jason investigate in one of his historical origins of pieces? And Hydrex Sky Shadow says, question of the week, where did the idea that wearing jewels will improve physical or mental stats? What is a ring going to make me stronger, or a pendant that will make me fast-eye or agile, or an earring that will give me intellect? Clearly, that's not how it works in real life, but where did that idea come from? them. So, Jason, here's what you're going to be delving into all kinds of new age stuff because there are still people very much that believe crystals and jewelry and things like that can influence things to that degree. So
honestly, I think jewelry comes from Tolkien. Like, I think that could be where that comes from. You know, the ring and the necklaces and so on. So, but I'll see if there's a more further historical basis behind that.
We got one other for you, Jason. Go ahead and read it.
Mr. Dispro says, I would like Jason to investigate the origin of slimes. After killing enough of them for it to be considered a genocide, I found myself thinking, why slimes, though? Probably because they're icky.
Those little slimes that are in, like, the Dragon Quest games are adorable.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, but there's all sorts of various other games that have various versions of them. Slimes and black puddings and D&D. Go back to that, so,
They're my favorite.
I'll definitely look into at least one of these, see if I can figure that out.
My favorite. Hold on.
Oh, wait, you got a prop?
Almost. It's not a prop. It's an image. I'm totally with you, Q. These are my favorite. Where the hell is it? Where did I save it? There it is. Yay!
I don't like that. It's so cute.
If you don't play MapleStory, you can get like a slime on your hat. You can get like a slime hat.
Slimes. Question of the week this week, prediction time. Will there be a Guild Wars 3 at some point? We're not playing the within a year, 2 years, 5 years. At some point, will there be a Guild Wars 3? I'm not even limiting it to that it'll be ArenaNet that does it. Will there be a Guild Wars 3? Yes or no? Why or why not? Put your thoughts in the comments below. While you're there, don't forget your weekly bums, dub bomb for something good, a bomb for something bad, or just your general questions for the panel. And until next week, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hang it out on Twitter at Quitland.
Jason.
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at magicman1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so that you get all the tweets for the latest news, articles, giveaways, interviews, and more. And of course, come check out the site's new redesign. But give us a day or two to work out a couple more of the bugs. Until next time, stay safe. See you on the servers.